Chairwoman, thank you. Chair Homendy, thank you for your presence again today. Thank you for your continued efforts to keep us informed and hopefully helpful in the cause. NTSB released on February 6th its preliminary findings. You hosted several of us at NTSB where we got to see, in a sense, kind of the hands-on circumstances and to hear from your investigators. So I think I had a good feel for what I thought transpired at that point in time. And your testimony today about lack of cooperation doesn't suggest, it tells me that there is more to be known than what that preliminary examination determined. So what is it that keeps you from being able to issue your final report? And maybe you've already said that this morning, but I want to hear it in a concise, what's missing kind of answer.
Yes, thank you. So our preliminary reports that we issue within 10 days to 4 weeks after an initial event provides factual information that we have so far. But it really is just the beginning of the investigation. When we conduct investigations such as this, a major, we certainly focus on timeliness of investigation, but it does take time because we are looking into different areas. When I had you all to our lab, and thank you for coming there, I wanted you to be able to see the door plug in person, to put eyes on it, rather than looking at a picture or looking at a diagram. I think putting eyes on something makes it that much more real and you can understand what we're looking at. So I wanted you to be able to see what we had reported in the preliminary report with respect to which bolts were missing. There are a lot of bolts, and there was a lot of that hold components on this door plug and on the frame. And there are 4 safety-critical retaining bolts. Their sole purpose is retaining this door plug on the airframe. And so what I wanted you to understand is what we saw is there were no 4 bolts there, and how we were able to determine that with our lab equipment, and then later confirm it through some pictures that we received from Boeing. I also wanted you to be able to see that there were 154 flights in total that had occurred. And so we could see at the top of that door plug how that door plug was migrating upwards until it finally came out on the 154th flight. I wanted you to be able to see that with your eyes. Since that time, we have received all the information, and thank you to the FAA administrator for this. We asked him for all the information that they had gathered with respect to the inspections of the other door plugs that outside of Alaska 1282, we were able to confirm that we were talking about different bolts. Their bolts are the bolts that they were talking about that were loose, were bolts around, again, holding components on the door plug or on the frame itself. But the 4 bolts that we're talking about, with the exception of a few missing cotter pins that they caught, the 4 bolts we're talking about were safety critical. Those were not the ones that FAA had identified in their work. So now just transitioning to the full investigation, we have different teams that are digging into different pieces of this investigation. Our structures team, our operations team, survival factors team. Our maintenance records team is what I'm updating you on today, which is in Renton right now, interviewing a number of personnel, Spirit Aerospace contractors, 3 of them, and then we have a number of other personnel who work for Boeing, who we understand were doing work around the area around the same time that work was being done on the rivets and the door plug in about mid-September to try to identify the list of 25 people because it's important that we begin to dig into those procedures, those policies to understand where we need to go on this investigation. We've asked repeatedly for information. Again, this is not new to this, not something that's just Specific to this investigation, we find this on other investigations where we repeatedly ask and don't get information, but we continue to ask. And so for this one, there's a lot of information missing. I do not understand how we could not get the names at this point, 2 months down the road, and it's not for a lack of trying. Now we're down to interviewing people who were in that area. We asked for security camera footage. Renton has security cameras all over the facility. We asked for security camera footage so we can understand who did the work.
What's the explanation for why you haven't received that information from Boeing or Spirit? I guess it's Boeing in this case.
We have not gotten a good answer. We have either not gotten an answer, or they're saying they're trying to provide it but can't find it. On the security camera footage, all their security camera footage is erased within 30 days and overwritten.
Just to be clear, are you referring to the names of people who were working that shift, or are you talking about the documents?
The documents, they can't find it. The names, we haven't been provided.
Let me ask you about what you said about the 3 subcontractors. Those are subcontractors of Spirit Aerosystem?
That's correct.
And that became known. It was thought that Spirit Aerosystem actual employees were doing work which turns out to be being done by subcontractors of Spirit? Is that
That's
right?
correct. That's correct.
And
With 3 different entities for the 3 different people
Are
we
you missing information in regard to that circumstance?
We are not at this time. It was a surprise to us that we were not told before being contacted by the individual employees that they were contractors and who they were contractors for. But we don't have other information that is missing right now from Spirit Aerospace, to my knowledge.
Two quick questions that I want to ask before my time expires further. The NTSB, and do you make interim recommendations as far as safety? So that even though your final report's not done, are there things that are occurring at your recommendation that makes flying more safe?
We can issue urgent recommendations, urgent safety recommendations at any point if we believe they're warranted. But we have to base those urgent safety recommendations on factual information. So when we believe we need to, we do not hesitate in doing that. We don't wait till the end.
Is there any difference of views in NTSB's findings to date and the FAA findings to date?
No, I have not identified any differences. We have some differences in work that we've done and differences in responsibility, but I will say they've been very helpful throughout the course of our investigation, and we appreciate that work.
Chairman, while it's not as much money as you would have requested this week, we're expected to pass the appropriation bill that funds NTSB, and it's an 8.2% increase, which is significantly higher than most other agencies within our capabilities of a budget that is less spending this year than last.
I strongly want, I want to just say thank you. It is really appreciated. Many times at the NTSB, we have to look at trade-offs. We have a number of lab equipment that's ending its useful life. And oftentimes I'm looking at, can we train somebody or can we replace lab equipment? That's not a trade-off I like to make. And so that investment is a direct investment in safety with the NTSB. And I just want to thank you so much for providing that and also for including our reauthorization bill in FAA. Thank you so much. I know I'm a strong advocate on our funding, and I appreciate you hearing the needs of our workforce.
Thank you. Senator Rosen.